Hi everyone and welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to talk about Lovable and I'm going to teach you everything that is required to build a complete product in Lovable. I'm going to explain you all the functionalities. We are going to talk about what does Supabase mean? Was it even created for, and how are we going to use it? What are APIs, right? How do we connect like an OpenAI API here? And what is GitHub? If you are someone who is not coming from the technical world, this course is perfect for you. This is for people who love to build stuff and want to try their hands out in building. I'm going to do this in a super simple step-by-step manner so you can follow along through the course and actually build a product that you like. Let's get started. First things first, I have a whole step-by-step list here, right? Again, let me just move it here so we can play around here. The first goal here is that we follow these lists. So you can see, write an idea, convert a product requirement document, look for UI inspiration, go to Lovable, add to GitHub and everything. Here is where we are going to go to Lovable. Before that, we have to do a lot of work. First step is write your idea. So again, where is this? I have a very simple one. Personal CRM for people to manage their personal and work relationship. This is something that I've always wanted. Like again, there are a couple of options, but I would like to, let's build that as a fun product here. Second, we're going to convert this particular idea into a product requirement doc, right? So again, we are just going to focus on writing an idea and converting it into a product requirement doc for Lovable. This is what we want to do, right? So let's just copy that. And again, I'm just going to bring you to ChatGPT. Let me just bring all of this back. I'm going to bring you to ChatGPT. So as you can see, I have a massive prompt here already available, right? Again, I'm going to explain this prompt to you in a second, but let me just tell you what my requirements are. I'm writing this, right? Build a PRD for a personal CRM application. I have 3 specific features, and this is super important. When you're starting out with Lovable, you can't have a laundry list of 100 features that you want. You have to really nail down on 3 features. So if I just copy and add these features here, these are my 3 features. Each person should be able to add their personal details, organize them by meeting, organize them in beautiful categories, add photos, and maintain notes about their meeting. Simply a personal book where you have, okay, I met XYZ on so and so date, have a couple of photos and organize that. That's pretty much it, right? And we come back here. And the goal is to create a beautiful personalized CRM. I'm just going to select, you can choose 4.0 also. I just believe one works a bit better on all of these things in writing a PRD, but you can choose any particular model as such. We're going to write that the prompt looks like, right? Again, I'm just going to pick up like a couple of things. So very simply, we're going to explain what product we are solving. Here I have some examples of the applications that I want to refer as from a design perspective, from a consumer product perspective. I have the goal of the app here. I have the design methodology available here. So what are the MVP screens, the core features, and everything else. If you want the whole prompt available, you can go down in the description and see where it is completely available and go from there. Now, as you can see, O1 has done a pretty fair job, right? Come back with again, what all the options are: our personal CRM, enhanced personal touch, why this matters, XYZ, and everything. Now, again, technically, we don't need so much details for Lovable, but I always love to start with a proper PRD, and I'll explain that in a second. Why does this matter? The best part about this prompt is that it creates a really good feature story. So again, managing contacts, and users can add personal contacts, connect, and everything. I make it explain how does the user flow look like, because that is super important, right? Lovable is not going to imagine how a user is going to use the product, right? It can just use what you are telling it to, right? So again, this is the whole PRD. It's massive, as you can see. It has a persona, it has everything, the relationship builder, and I'm just going to take this and copy paste this. Again, I'm going to copy this and come back to Lovable. Is our job done? No. I technically want to do one more step just before that, right? You have to do it in steps. Like before coming to Lovable, I have the 3 core features that I want, and now I'm going to do one more additional step. I'm going to come to this beautiful website called Behance, right? And I'm going to search for personal CRM, right? Now, have people created personal CRMs? I've not really searched. As you can see, there's not a lot of options on personal CRM. So we are just going to look at a couple of, okay, fine, found one. This is a personal CRM on how people can see and avail. Now, this is where I come for design inspiration, right? Creating beautiful design, good design, but it can't create amazing design, right? Personalized CRM and see what comes up. You can come here and just pick up a couple of designs that you really like. Let's just choose a couple of things that we like from a design idea. I like this as a design inspiration, right? So again, I can just do a screenshot of this. Again, very simply take this as a screenshot, right? And then again, I can choose a couple of more options from an app perspective. So let's just see what we have here. Maybe we want to give like a different color accent or more options and details, right? So again, we are just going to give components as such, and I'm just going to screenshot them. Screenshot 3-4 things that you like so that it has a good starting ground to go from there, right? Instead of starting from scratch. I really like this one. I've used this a couple of times in my other design inspirations. I really like this. So let me just go below and technically get a good screenshot of this. This really helps. So if I can just take the screenshot of this, I can just give it for inspiration. I can see what kind of cards it can create. I want it to be in colors of white and black, a mix of that, so it really looks cool. Perfect. Now let's come down to Lovable. I'm going to come back here, and as you can see, I'm going to paste my PRD, right? Here, I'm going to start from top and say, here is the product we are building, and the below is the PRD. I'm also attaching some design inspirations for you to get started. Start the first screen, right? Now, if you come back to this particular thing, you can see that I have asked it to define every particular feature with a component breakdown, feature design, and XYZ, right? Here are all the screens that are there. So I have 5 screens, and as you can see in the prompt, I've mentioned this, that you can't have more than 5 screens. Welcome screen, dashboard, contact list screen, contact details screens, and notes and feed screen. That's it. We just want to get started with 5 screens. It's a MVP, right? You need to have as basic as you want. You can make it to 10 screens and 6 features, but again, this is a cool way to get started, which really gets done, right? We'll do the first screen, and then I'm just going to add design inspirations. Technically, you want to remove the black ones. My design vibe is more towards white right now, more towards a light one. Then you see, first thing, as you get started, you have an option to either choose a public or a private. Obviously, I will choose private. I don't want this to be public to everyone else. Second, you can click on import, right? So you can use Figma. If you're a good designer, you can start from there also. I'm not going to use that because most of the people that I think are watching this video are wanting to start just by putting in some text. Perfect. Let's see. Now, just to recap everything, we have input our files, we have input an inspiration part, and after that, I've come to Lovable and come back here, right? That is super important. Now, Lovable is going to take a couple of minutes on building this whole thing up for the first screen. Till then, let me actually teach you what Lovable has. First of all, Lovable mostly builds all the front end and also the backend as a function. Lovable is the complete product. It builds your front end, it builds your backend, it builds everything that is there, right? It does not use all the services you think about, right? For example, it will use Supabase. It will use Superbase as a service to build the backend. Now, what is Superbase? Again, backend, when you are talking about from an application perspective, considers of these things, right? It has functions. I've written edge function specifically for Superbase. I'll explain you in a second. It has a database where you can store your records, like who has logged in. It has file storage. Then it has some logic to be built and an authentication, right? So all your logic lives in the backend and everything else. Now, this is where everything happens. Backend is the meat of the application, where it has everything that you can work on. So, for example, anything that you see on the website. So, if I show you any website for that matter, right? So, let's say Open LinkedIn, right? Now, what are we seeing on front, right? This is all front end. This is all front end, right? This is like again, all of this data is going to a database and bringing all of these posts back. If you scroll, you can see it starts loading in a second. It's super fast, but it loads in a second. So if I keep scrolling, it keeps loading, right? As you can see, it keeps loading because it's hitting an API on the back end and getting me the data and showing it to me on my front end. So whatever you're seeing technically is the front end, right? And whatever is happening that you are not seeing is on a back end where it gets the data from. This is what connects everything. This is the beautiful thing. API, right? Now, APIs are literally the thing that glues the whole internet together. So they go to the backend and say, you know what, Akshit's looking at its feed. Can you send me some data to show him more posts? He scroll to the bottom and it brings down more posts and then shows it to you on the website. Now, obviously, Lovable is able to control all of this, but it is very important to understand that you are able to utilize Supabase from a backend perspective, and Lovable is able to interact with Supabase, connect that, so you can is able to connect this and build the front end, right? So that's where we are coming from. Now, first of all, they have come back here and it has created a decent first page, right? So pretty decent. I can't click, nothing is happening right now because the functionality is not there. Probably from a design style, I'm not super happy on this, right? Again, I technically want a bit more different design style. I was going for a bit more retro, but let's give it some more inspiration. From a design perspective, I was not really liking that. So what I did is I went to Perplexity and asked it to create me a UI kit, right? So kind of like, again, create me a kit of colors and a whole design kit. So let me just show you an example, right? UI design kit, like here is an example, right, where you can see people have these design kits where they build a lot of elements so that the design system stays the same in different companies. Right now, this is obviously much in the designing field. I am not a designer, right? So I can give you a basic idea that keep consistent design. So if you'll see, Google always have that iconic logos. It's always white with a different background and all of those things. Same way you can see in multiple applications. But what I did is I was trying to add in this whole design kit schema from Perplexity. I'm going to ask, here's more detail on design schema. I want you to use the cyberpunk style and build it. I'm just going to define that and then click enter. So this is all created by Perplexity. I understand some parts of it obviously from a color and design perspective, but I just went to Perplexity, asked it to create a design kit for me, and it gave that, right? Now it's going to go ahead and convert the design into the style I want. This is super important to nail at the start rather than later, because, and let me just move myself around. I could see that you guys can't see. I just literally pasted this and added that. But the idea is that, you need to understand that, if you don't nail the design at the start, you're going to have a lot of problems as you keep growing, right? Because the point is, changing the design is literally like every page needs to change after you have built 3 to 4 pages. So we are going to stick to these pages. And that is why I'm updating the design right now. So you should be very happy with the design. Again, I like it, but it's just not like, it's just not perfect. Like if you can see, it added an image of Jennifer and used those images in the letters, and it's the same image that I added, which does not feel great, right? So again, I just want to change all of those things also. But a good start. Now it's going to take a couple of seconds, right? But again, very simply, we're going to use a couple of options here. As you can see, Supabase is here, GitHub is here, and then we're going to add all of that, right? Okay, it updated the design. I just moved from Superbase back. It's looking better, but I don't know if it's better or worse. Like it's a bit wonky. If you can see, I'll have to select a couple of things and get rid of multiple shadows. They look bad, and I'm just going to say that I wanted to say wonky, but right, get rid of multiple from every design element. Every design element, keep it. Every design, use alternating colors with green and black to make it look better. That's one of the things with design perspective. I've always had difficulties with nailing Lovable, right? Like again, it always does not work like the way that I want, and that's fine given that it's not a design tool. I want to find a good design kit, right? So again, I just want to see like, can we have like a CRM which really looks beautiful and go from there, right? So again, CRM dashboard or something like that. This looks much better, right? So I would love to take this as an example and have that name. Take design inspiration from this. I grabbed the screenshot from it and then I pasted take design inspiration from this and convert the design to same style as the image, and remove the dummy image that you're using as photos as a placeholder. It's looking better now. This is actually much better with a flat design rather than that whole neuromorphic thing that I tried to do. I want it to be more flat. We can change these colors and everything else. I'll quickly show you one more option here that you can click on and change stuff, or you can just click on edit and select different colors. Once it stops doing that, I can ask it to change that and XYZ things. The idea is that again with Lovable, design is like always like a tricky part, but I'm just going to like not to make this video a 3-hour thing. I'm just going to pause until it updates the design and then we move forward on building the screens. Now let me quickly show you an error, right? So as soon as it input the design inspiration, it did not just take the design inspiration, literally copied the UI, which is great. Again, probably we can also start with the copied UI. But the idea is that I asked it to modify it to our PRD requirements, right? Our PRD requirements is it's a personalized CRM, so it needs to go ahead and update this now. It's already working on it and we'll probably do it, but after that we'll just start building the functionality, because else we'll get stuck on design. Consumer apps need to have that connect of a really good design. I'm not a great designer, so I rely on AI a bit more. We'll try to just start building the screens. What we're going to do is I'll show you another feature here. Let's say I don't like the last 2 edits. It has just built this particular screen and brought me to a dashboard. I'm just going to come back here and click on restore. I was happier with technically what we did before and then start from there rather than just keep moving on the design. So this is fine. We'll start building that. You are probably a better designer than I am and we can go from there. Now, what I'm going to do is select, you're going to click on edit. Select any element, right? I can select any element. I'm just going to select this, change the color to match others. You can choose custom color from here, or I can just use this and choose colors accordingly. So instead of saying that, I can just say maybe a neutral color or something like that, and I can choose whatever I want. So I technically want the same color as this. If it had a color picker, I would be able to use that. But again, I'm just going to change the color to match the design. I'll enter this and it will change the color, edit it as I showed you, but I need to find a color picker and I'm not want to do that. Now this is great. Again, what I'm going to do after this is actually now transfer it to GitHub. The reason is I still have to keep referencing the PRD all the time, right? So we have our PRD here. This is our element. So we have the welcome screen, which is like, quick introduction. This is obviously going to be like, the onboarding screen or the landing page, and then we have the dashboard, right? One thing that you would see me doing is we'll always build the front end first. We'll not build the backend because building the Supabase backend is much easier compared to building the front end. Once you build the front end, it just like, changes a lot of things across, right? So again, this is perfect, great, but now as you can see, there is no functionality. I can click on anything, it's just clicking and it does not change anything. So I'm going to come back here and take this particular screen. Before I move forward, I want to transfer this project to GitHub, right? So I'm going to click on transfer project to GitHub, create an action. Again, you can log in. If you're using Lovable for the first time, you will be getting a login option. So you can go ahead and do that. It will take a couple of seconds to go ahead and start that, but again, very simply, I can go and click on view on GitHub, right? So I can go here and start loading up here. It has all the options. Now what I will do is go back here, right? And I can also come here and select edit in VS Code. So it will actually open VS Code online, so you don't have to even download an editor or something. And we're going to do two steps here. First step that we're going to do is we're going to create a file here. Let me load it. Now what we're going to do is we're just going to create a file here. I'm just going to create a folder and say docs, right? And I'm going to write PRD and design docs, PRD docs, right? Then I'm going to say PRD.md, which is the product requirement documentation. And why MD is just called a markdown file. Now you can write TXT or anything that you're using, and I just want to paste it in the same format as MD, right? So again, I'm just going to paste it in the same format. Perfect. Let me just paste. Yep, allow. Perfect. And then it shows up as a preview PRD.md, and that's perfect, right? It has all the elements that we have. That's great. Now, because this exists, whenever you are editing a file here, and I click add a folder, let's see this better. So you can click on add a folder, just like docs. As you can see, I have all of these under the SRC component. Why is it under SRC? That's where all your files are going to live. Another thing that I can add is some UI based stuff if I want, but I'm just going to stick to PRD right now because from a UI perspective, it has just been there, what we wanted, right? So we just keep this here, and then we come back here. And then here you have to commit, right? So when you're saying commit, it's just like think about it saving. Again, I'm oversimplifying this, so don't blame me in comments. Just when you're committing this, this pushes the copy of this file to your GitHub repository. And once you do that, I'll say add it the product requirement documentation. Once I've done this, I'll say commit and push. Commit and push means save this and push it online so that anyone who has access to this repository can see this. If I come back here, you will be able to see it shows an external commit, which means you have gone and edited the code base yourself and committed something. And that's great, right? That's what I want. And from there, build all the functionality required to make the screen function. Right now, I wish I was able to just write this prompt and get it done, but it is not as easy. I'll have to also add a couple of elements, right? Create a contact addition form, which can be done. And also, like, just to refer, I'm going to see there is a contact details screen and a list screen, right? So again, visually appealing list and everything else and the contact details screen, but I technically want to like also add contacts, right? So again, create a contact addition form, which can be accessed by clicking the add button on the right corner and make it beautiful. Just keep saying this, make it beautiful, right? And then go from there. But again, very simply, if you can see, this is pretty good, right? You have the total contacts, you have all of this. We don't have a menu till now, and we'll probably have to add that. And I'm going to have like a beautiful left hand side, like a pop-up menu where you can just go to the left and choose elements, or instead of that, I can have all the menu buttons at the top. So you just have a single place. It's a personal choice. Do what you wish. But this is cool. You get all these things already built, and this is pretty good, right? So you have the all work mentors. Again, not working, that's fine. It will still, we'll have to make all of this work. And obviously, this links to go into the backend. We are still like 20% there, if I'm being optimistic right now, but yeah, it's there. Another feature that I would love to show here is you can see the code actually here itself. You don't need to go to GitHub. You can't edit the code, but you can see the code, right? So it's only read only, and you can see all the code that is. So this is the prd.md that we have, and as you can see, it's writing the code here. Again, something that you probably won't be requiring to check if it does the job well, and technically just goes from there, right? Another thing that I want to add is a small AI feature so that you understand how we can add this. Let's see, I've created a beautiful that matches I with 3. The form can be accessed by clicking the plus button. So if I click plus button, I see a great, pretty good add new contact form. Right now, again, from a UI perspective, still needs a lot improvement, but I'm just not going to keep picking on it because I think it will keep taking a lot of time. Right, so this is perfect. We can select a category, which is great. It automatically understood what we are trying to do. One thing that I've not done, and I understand why I'm feeling so bad with all this input, is I have not chosen a good font. I love Poppins, so I'm just going to use Poppins as the font throughout the application. And then you can, like, obviously you can change this later and whatever font you want. I just always use Poppins. It's just like my favorite font for all and all. That's pretty much it. So I'm just going to say use Poppins as the font throughout the application. The only thing you have to see is you can stop the commit being done. You can stop the code being generated. I would just not do that because you break the code in middle and then you have to go back and see how it works, everything else. But yeah. So as you can see, added the label and XYZ. Looks okayish. And as you can see, there's a cross button here. We don't need that. We'll have to rectify that. But we'll come to that while we debug the app, right? So use Poppins as the font throughout the application. We have the mentors. Now, the second thing is we have an add form, right? Again, so obviously it's not going to work. There's nothing if I add a content or anything, there's going to be. The best thing is like, it has done some code work by itself. If I add a content, obviously it's just going to give me a great pop-up, but it does not add anything because there's nothing to add anywhere. There is no place to store all of this information. I'm going to just build the rest of the screen, right? Look at your PRD and build out the contact detail screens so that the user is able to see. I actually want to technically start with the contact directory screen. Is able to see all the contact in a single place, right? So let's just do that, right? Because I just want to have like a contact directory screen, and that's the idea. Just build out each screen here, and then we'll go from there. Given that we just have 4 or 5 screens, I think it should be done pretty quickly. We just have basic functionality on all of that, and just go from there. And the best thing is you can keep referencing your PRD, the contact list screen. You have all the key UI elements already available, and you have the contact detail screens which are needed, right? So the best thing is because you have added your PRD there, it can actually refer to the PRD at all times rather than losing context. That is one thing you really have to pay attention to when building all of these things. Going ahead, I'm going to build all of this. And again, I'm just thinking while it's doing that, you can think around what are we going to change. So I'm going to probably get rid of all of these small green accents, probably make one box black, one box green, something like that. I love the design part. It's got a beautiful gradient color. That's great. And then we can just keep seeing how we probably make it a bit better. And that's something that you should do while Lovable takes its own time to build stuff. It happens pretty quickly, but you can do a couple of other things in that same time. Now, first of all, I've got the contact page. It took around 30 seconds. The best thing is because we had a great PRD to start with, imagine this has come up perfectly in the first chance, right? You have the whole thing, it also built up the contact, another page of contact details because it saw that in the PRD that it exists, and it built both pages in one shot, right? So I can click on here and I can see with images it will start looking better, but it's still looking pretty good given that we have literally nothing. We have just like a basic contact directory going forward. Now, as you can see, there is one thing coming up here, and let me just move myself so you can see this properly, is error box. So what we can do is click on show logs and click on try to fix. And I'll tell you why you should do that. It does not cost you any messages. I am on the basic starter plan of $20. So you can see there's like 93 messages, but I've used a try to fix option. So it's not going to cost me any messages to do that. But it's automatically going to fix an error. A lot of times these are simple basic errors. In case something complex happens, then we'll go ahead and see what that changes to. Perfect. Let's see. I think should be fixed. Perfect. Just the error thing went out. You can see what the error was, and it automatically changed everything. This is great, and it also has been able to put that up in categories. Is really beautiful, right? Again, so you can filter by category, and that's already there. You can add a contact. It automatically connected that because it knows the PRD. You can search. I don't think it's going to work right now. Yeah, because the search function actually working, right? That's cool. It just built out all the features because of our beautiful, amazing product requirement doc, right? Again, this is the most important part that you have to have, right? Now you have the adding and managing contacts, super easy to do. Again, I will technically want it to have a delete button. It has one. Great. This is just dream come true that it took care of all of it in one shot. And then feature category management, we obviously have that. I think if I click here, I should be able to edit. We need to build an edit form, right? Link the edit button from the contact into an edit form that can allow us to edit the contact details, right? Again, and it's going to like technically just like, the best thing is that whenever you're editing, the screen knows the reference and it will automatically link that together. So you don't need to worry about always mentioning that this is the edit button. It just works. Can the add note button work? You need to add a note about this. I will technically need two things in the note part. Add a note with a date so that we can have track on when we met them or have some information like that. We have like a beautiful, it also updated the dashboard. It gave like a button in the dashboard. So dashboard and contacts, I don't want that. I'll ask it to remove. This is one of those things that it has tried to do more, which is great, but not super easy. One thing that you can do is like, you click on this and opens up it in a preview. So I can show it this to you in like a bigger screen, because here you have a chat option and then you are seeing this until it's updating. You can see the whole application here, right? Again, you can really see the whole application here. And click on it, you can inspect the elements, see how this is coming up. You can see a lot of stuff, right? And that's the best part, right? You can see the font weight and inspect it as any web app you would. That's super cool, because while building, you will have issues and you can see them happening. I know that the font thing is still not done, so we'll try to do it one more shot, but yeah, later, right? Let's see, it did that. Let's come back to contacts. And if I click here and click on edit, you can edit the contact now. If I save this, does it save it in the category? If I take Michael J, and yeah, that's pretty good. Add note, again, add note is not there, but very simply, like again, obviously it's not saving anything, it did not save that. I'll go ahead and change that because there is no database to store all of this, right? Perfect. Then we are going to do is create an add note option also, which allows you to add note with a date tag and also mark importance, because the point is, I think importance ones are pretty good, because then I can give an importance filter. You might be tracking like every time that you met them, but that might not be important all the time, right? It's coming together, guys. You can look at it around 40-50 minutes in, pretty together, right? So you have the mentors, the clients, and I think we can move from here, because now I'm thinking you'll have total notes, total contacts here, and then we can work across from there. So let's see. Date tag and importance of marketing. This is great, but we should be able to click on these contacts and get to the contact detail or something like that. Events is great. I would like to add a small AI feature here, but let's see how this comes. Right now, as you can see, it added an add note thing. Obviously, it's not beautiful, and that's why I want to change this. Again, I'll just go ahead and select. Now, here is where you use edit and select this. Increase the size of the add form and the components in the same ratio, right? And it will be able to expand the font. It's pretty good. Try to do it pretty small. You have to take care of from a design perspective and everything else. And again, it's coming out together well. Like given that all of this, you have the application, it's running well. It's pretty much there from a screen perspective. If you see, we have feature management, we have meeting notes and a beautiful feed, which is pretty good, right? I still want to see what we can add here, right? From so global feed, list all the notes in contact, each entity displays the name, date, and short snippet of the note. And you can see what we do from a feed perspective, because again, that's something I believe is going to be super crucial. If you can have a feed of all the things that you have missed, and seen from a date perspective, like those old Facebook vibes. And yeah, we already have categories. We probably would love to give this settings or manage categories option. I think that's pretty good. Let's build a settings page which has manage category and everything else. Perfect. Let's see. Add note. Perfect. Looks amazingly better, right? Much more option to type and go from there, right? Great. I think this has come together. Our main screens from again, contacts, contact directory, contact detail, the dashboard is there. If I just come back to the PRD, you can see we have our top 5 screens done. We have the note feed screen, feed of all notes across, making it easy to glance through recent interactions. Again, this is probably something we can build. I'm not sure now, from a note screen, just having notes from people, I don't know if that's going to be useful. I don't want to build that. So we're going to stick to this contact details, contact list, and then this. And then technically, perfect. So let's build a beautiful landing page. I'm just going to write that, and that has notes flying around and moving into different contacts and single button up now. Very simply, I want to have this like a message, kind of you have random notes popping into your calendar. Again, I have that vision in mind. Let's see if it can figure this out, because again, Lovable has helped me create some pretty good animations, but it has taken a lot of time. The idea is that given that we just use 15 messages, so that's pretty good. You can see here On the left, how many messages you are left with, right? We use 10 messages from the monthly credits, 5 messages from here. We're still nowhere near done. We still have to build out the Supabase functions and everything else. Given that we want to do all of that in Lovable, it's probably going to take us a much more messages. But this is pretty good. Like, the first screens, just because, like, we started in the right methods, right? We start with the right PRD, we start with the right design. Again, not super up on the design, so I'm not going to keep patching you on that. But it's pretty cool. Let's see what came up again. Yeah, so there is not bad, right? I can follow up with Sarah, coffee with Michael, right? I just want to get rid of the key features and everything else, right? And technically find a better way to build this landing page. I want to have some examples. I love Superbase landing page a lot, right? So let's see. Yeah, they have this amazing animation going around, right? So I want to like have something cool, right? So let's come to Behance, right? Messages, landing page. Someone would have created some great design, right? Perfect. So after like, this couple of minutes, I think I found one that I really resonate with, right? And this looks good, right? Again. And I technically want to come back here and say, use this as a design inspiration and build the page again. Get rid of key features, etc. Ready to get started. Right, I just want to get rid of all of that, right? Again, and technically you can just like have like a cool landing page. What I can do is also use Midjourney to create something. Imagine I'll want to come back here and create a message flying through space in a black gradient, right? And then let's see, again, obviously, like, again, I'm a great at prompting design images. No, not at all. Let's see what people have searched for landing pages. Like Midjourney inspirations would be, people have just created some basic stuff and it always comes up to that. But let's say in some UI, right? Anyone who would have added the word UI would have taken a bit more pain to create a beautiful design. So this is pretty good, like, again, but I technically want to like, see messages, right? And kind of like use something from here, like use these kind of icons, because again these are also things that will add aesthetic to your website a lot more. And actually I love this icon. I technically want to like use this color palette a lot, right? So you can see this with yellow, and let's try to use this, right? Again, so the point, it's really following that design inspiration a lot, right? This is pretty good, like, but just like again, where is the messages thing? It's not working, right? So again, let's try something, right? Again, from a landing page perspective. Again, I just simply explain, like, to manage all in a single place, use our design colors and create a message card animation of messages falling into buckets. Use the same color schema we were using, right? Again, let's see, like, again, from a landing page without like with a design thing, obviously it's going to happen like this. I would also suggest, and I wanted to do was, because like we did not nail the design in the first shot, is technically come back here and we're going to create a PRD, and plus I'm going to add like a design doc, right? Design.md, right? Again, from this, do another cool thing here, right? And take this, right? And we are going to make something crazy happen. This is like one of those pro tips that you will understand when you're doing this. This was not originally part of the course, but let's take this as a screenshot. Come back to ChatGPT, right? And I'm going to ask it to do something. Roast the design and create a better design. Outline, explain in text as per a senior designer. Let's see, it updated the hero section, I think, right now. But like again, I can just say, okay, not bad at all. Given that I just need to explain it to put this into buckets, it's pretty good. It's using purple as a color, which I think is just because existing color scheme for it is still, in some context length, is still the same. But yeah, let's see. Let's come back here, and then the roast of, like, can strain eyes if not done carefully. You can see, like, the roast is pretty bad, right? Obviously can. So what we're going to do is senior designs data. Come back here. I'm going to select a canvas and put this thing here, right? Again, and proceed from there. Nailing this whole thing is going to take a bit of time, and that's great. If it takes a bit of time, you understand that there is a bit more nuance, like, just building up a perfect app, and all the applications that you see will be great. But this is pretty good, right? Again, until then, I can just ask it, like, cards are looking great. can they be animated to appear out of thin air, move towards a random bucket and disappear. Honestly, this was like something that I was not expecting, right? Like again, like pretty good, pretty well done, right? Like even the good messages, obviously I think there's like a meeting up, follow up and everything. I actually like that without the headings, but yeah, we can change that. As you can see, it has come up better. I can just copy this whole thing, take this, come back to our GitHub as we did, paste this whole thing here, right? Again, and need to remove this and paste it as this. And technically now ask it to very simply save, come back here, commit, design changes. One thing I just need to make sure it's not updating right now. It's done. It's pretty good. Again, now it figured out the color scheme, and like as you can see, it's coming up, going into random places, right? And that's pretty good. Like it keeps getting assigned, and you can have like some things coming up here and here. What if I click and a card appears? That would be cool, right? Again, first let me commit the design thing, right? Like let's just focus on the task at hand. Design changes, commit and push. Okay, well, and that's great because we had already some changes there. Perfect. Now it has an external commit, design changes, right? And that's pretty much where we are. We have a good option. Again, we come to get started. We have our design perfectly there. We can refine it a bit more, but we have been able to do a pretty good job at defining a good design strategy and have our screens ready. Now comes the last part. It's going to be connecting this with Superbase and building all the functionalities, which is going to be like making this app run live and then finally publish it, right? First things, we have got our design done, we have our dashboard, we have our pages, we have our features ready, and now it's time to build all of this into Supabase. So let's try to do that. Now, first thing that we're going to do is really focus on. Now, one thing that I want to switch to is like very simply, there is a chat mode supposed to be here. I think like they have default changed that. So you go to account settings, and you'll see this labs option. It's like chat mode, right? And that's what I want. Again, enable code edits in dev mode. I don't want to edit anything as such, but once that is done, I'll go back to Lovable. There are a lot of projects that I have. Now, why have I done that? I don't want to start with editing any code. I don't want it to edit any code. So I'm going to select chat only. And once it's on the chat only option, I'm going to say, based on all the things built and the PRD, create a complete implementation plan for building the tables for Supabase, create a complete implementation plan for adding a backend using Supabase. That means all CRUD operations. Now, when I say CRUD operation, that means create, read, update, delete, right? So it needs to create all those. That means all CRUD operations, table schema, and any other function required. Now, once I have that, I can just put enter and it will go ahead and now start building complete plan, right? So now it's going to literally it's going to just read everything. It's going to go through complete options and everything else. And now it's going to literally take the PRD. As you can see, it went out and read the PRD and now create a whole option on what we need to do with Superbase. It's also creating the code that it needs to execute in Superbase to build all of this. But first I need to connect this whole thing, and that's something that obviously again hasn't happened. So what we need to do is click on create new project and then come to this part and we'll put in a project name and we are going to write Connectpedia. That's the name we have, or personal CRM. Type in a strong password. I'm just going to use an old password that I already have. And then instead of this, I can choose obviously Mumbai or something like that, so it delivers better. And I can just click on create new, right? And I'm going to copy the password just for safekeeping. Click on create new project. It should be able to create now. Perfect. Started creating, right? Already project status. It will take some time to create. And that's just before I started that whole Superbase thing. I should have technically connected it with the project in a second. So yeah, that will take a second or so for us. Let's come back to the project. To show you, I simply came and connected this, and you have the option to connect or disconnect this. Just because I had the recording on pause, let me just show this to you again. You just have to come here, click on Superbase, and then it's connected. You can go ahead and change all of this. Now it's connected. You can now work with the fully backend and powerful features. It can show your whole project is connected, and right now what I'm going to do is based on all of this, create a complete, that means all CRUD operations. I want it to start doing this. The default option, let's create a plan, and then it will give us an option to implement Let it create the whole plan. It's going to create a complete table structure for everything based on our PRD. Now, given our application is pretty simple, we don't need to super worry about it. I want all the CRUD operations to be there. I want it to have the cable schemas, and it has a great PRD. It's going to create everything in one shot, right? And I will technically just be able to click this beautiful button here. As you can see, apply changes. Once you connect Supabase, you will just click on apply changes. And voila, it will go ahead and start running those changes. Should you do that in one shot? You want to review it, go ahead and review it. But given that we are still in development, again, we can change a lot of stuff around and you don't need to worry about it. It's going to go ahead and execute all of these things, right? So give it a couple of seconds and it will start building your database. You can come back here to this database and see all your tables. This was not there before in Supabase. So you can go to the Supabase website or just go from here and go to dashboard or SQLite or anything else. And just you can come here and see all these options. If I click on auto layout and zoom in, you can see there is a contacts table, there is an events table, there is a profiles table, and then there is a categories table, which is all we need, right? Technically, odd.users ID, and then that's pretty much all we need, right? So again, it has gone out and built that stuff. Now, the only thing that we need to do is allow some kind of an authentication level stuff to happen so that it can tag everything to a single user, right? So we can also build a random user or set up the authentication. Now I'm going to teach you how to do the authentication part, which is a bit new. Just be okay. I'm going to teach you step by step and don't worry about it. Perfect. Now to go from here to the next step, we need to focus on one thing. We need to build a couple of design elements and then directly start connecting everything so that it works with an application, right? So first things that you can see is on the index part, this is the landing page. It takes you to the dashboard directly. It should do a sign-in page. So let's start building out the perfectly valid a navigation bar. Add a nav bar at the top, represented using icons with all the pages linked to it. Perfect, right? And then again, after this, we're going to give it a couple of instructions that you need to stop this sign-in page, right? So again, someone should need to sign in to see the dashboard, not before, right? And then obviously sign in and sign up are created. But the best part with Lovable is that if you have a good PRD, right, it automatically, this is a functionality that is needed. Given that we are able to do all of this quickly, imagine building your MVP within less than 1.5 to 2 hours. Again, that's just crazy. Just imagine that. Focus on putting on the documentation rather than figuring it out as you go. That's great if you're experimenting, but if you want something done, just start there. So let it do this. And then again, obviously, till then, I can show you a couple of things. First of all, you can go to the dashboard, right? This is where your all Supabase functions and everything will live. And then you have authentication. One thing you can see, obviously, we have no users. Nobody has signed up. But before that, you need to come to this and let me just zoom in so you see this clearly. Because if you're doing this for the first time, it will be something that you will not be able to do. You see this site URL, right? As you can see, this is localhost right now. This is nothing based on Lovable or something like that. So what we need to do is, we technically need to take this whole app, right? Literally copy this link and paste this, right? At the end, it will be without the preview part, right? You will technically just want to have without that, but let's just say we can just save this right now. And then obviously we can have different URLs that redirect. This is important because Supabase can't understand, it will just try to redirect you here, right? So first of all, we don't want it to be redirected. It needs to know this is our URL. And once I click on this publish button, I'll show you, we're going to go ahead and change that also. From a sign-in perspective, you can see we have allow new users to sign up. Now you have multiple options available here. You can use Google, Apple, but I have just email, which is available by default. While I'm testing this, I kind of remove one thing. I remove this confirm email option, right? Because the point is, if I have the confirm email option, I always have to keep going back to my email and confirm it. I want to create a couple of users. I want to use a couple of dummy emails which don't have an inbox just to check this. So I'll just go ahead and do this, right? I'm not going to have all the other security things that are going to be there, right? Because just for the sake that it needs to be simple right now. We are just testing this application and you will have to change all of these things once we come to a production level thing. So if we save this, we are going to come back here and then see how the navigation bar came up. So if I click here, it should be able to show me a nav bar. It's not visible to me. Add the nav bar to every page. Dashboard, contact directory, and contact. Right? I'm just going to go and do that because again, technically, I just want this, and technically I believe it's just gone. I like this now. Honestly, I don't have any issues with it. Just we need to change where it is going to be visible. Plus, dashboard should only be allowed when you're doing. Until that's happened, let's try to sign up, right? I don't think the sign up button is going to be working right now, but let's try that, right? So I'm just going to use a dummy email, eatech.com. I'm just going to write password. So feel free to just use random emails right now, and let's see, sign up. I would actually, and you can go back once you have done that, you can go to the users and see if something has actually come up, right? So you click on refresh. Lovable did a pretty good job at the sign up thing, and it also automatically logged me in. As you can see, it has added the navbar at the top. You have the contact right of the dashboard. I'm going to go ahead and select this and click on remove this from here. Let's get rid of the edit mode. I have been logged in, and the only option that I have is sign, which is great. For our purposes right now, it's great. I would love to add a settings option which controls the categories, but we'll come to that in just a second. Let's try to build other functionalities. So it's going to be like, removing this nav links component, and has been removed from the top bar and perfectly visible. You have the contact directory. You can see all of these things. Now I need to start building the full application. So I'm going to again switch to chat mode again and ask it, create an implementation and use the Supabase as the backend. We already have the tables created, and integrate backend tables with our functionality. Users should be able to only see their own contacts and create their own. That should get saved, and also able to add notes. Now, once it does that, it's going to create a plan. Make sure that you're creating plans rather than editing. This chat mode is really good because once it creates a pretty good plan, your implementation is just a click away. Instead of figuring out 10 times how to do this, you can just do it in one shot, right? So first of all, it is reading all of this, and this is super important. It's going to read ahead, get more context, and then come back and start building. Now it's going to take a couple of seconds. Now, a couple of things that you are seeing here is very specifically that you need to look at. That it has created a very detailed plan, right? Again, which has like an authentication and all of this and etc. Right? I don't want to figure out all of these things. I just want to technically utilize a couple of things. So first, I will go ahead and say, let's start with the implementation for contacts. A user should only be able to see their own contacts, right? And then again, I'm now going to create to default, switch to directory so that it knows that I want this to be edited, and it goes ahead from there. Plan wise, we can obviously go ahead and implement the plan, starts doing that, but this is just an easier way to have a bit more control going from there. It will start creating everything. And now, as you see, these are all called Supabase queries. These are SQL queries which are going to be executed in Supabase. So you have to always review them. You can just click on apply changes and it will automatically do that because it's a dev environment. You can go ahead and change stuff. Then we're just going to run this for all our 3 screens. We need to make sure that also works, and we're going to do that. And then the best way to analyze and see what you have here, you can see all the tables that are created, right? You have a notes table, you have an events table, you have a profiles table, which is just the basic profiles, and then you have the contacts table, which is this most important part, that very simply you have all the contacts. You have a profile, so you can update your own user profile as you need. Now this is going to be another just reiterating on every part, but actually follow through. Now a couple of things while this is happening, you will get a good amount of errors in this phase. Building the front end part is pretty easy, but the back end is a bit tricky when you're trying to connect both these things. But again, don't worry about it, follow through the process and go from there. So let's see, the contact uses a React query. The contact directory technically should not show any contacts. The reason behind that is there are no contacts linked to this particular user, and you can see that it's smaller. I see the user here, I don't see the user here. So again, a couple of things that we need to make sure that we do. Now let's try to add. First of all, I don't think it's going to add anyone, but I'm just going to write a@c.com, whatever, and then phone number 1234, company. I'm just going to put category, select work, and I'm just going to put company as company test. And pick a date. I'm just going to pick today's date, that's 2nd April. Pick anniversary, just pick this and add a contact. Right? Technically, is this working? I don't think so. Right? Very simply, as soon as you added a contact, it's not visible. And the best way to verify that is you can also go ahead and click on very simply the contacts part. You will be able to see obviously if any contact is created, not created. Right? So we're going to just do again. Simply come back to the directory, click on add contact, and select ensure the add contact functionality works. Add contact functionality works, and when the user adds a contact, it gets added into the database, and that's it. It's now going to be the API link that's going to connect this to. I'm going to stop the edit part. As you can see, there's some error. We'll obviously go ahead and fix that in a second. You need to understand it's just about doing these steps for each part. Another thing I want to do in the meantime is get these things fixed. You can also maintain errors.md file. If you want to come back, we can go to GitHub, right? Edit in VS Code. And here we can just maintain all the errors that we are seeing, right? So instead of remembering them or writing them down, we can come back here and create a new file. We're just going to write things to fix, right? Let's do that. And once I have this, I can just say list of things to fix, right? And then I'm going to write very simply all the list of things that I need to fix. The user should be visible on pages in the right hand corner, right? And fix the build category error, add contact. Let's test it again, right? Very simply, I'm just going to test with A because I'm like, put work. That's the man. A. I'm just going to put action, right? Perfect. Just add a contact, and if this failed to add contact, that's where you technically see an error, right? Now come to a bit more of an advanced part. What I'm showing you right now is the console. This is where, from a development perspective, you see a lot of errors happening. So technically, when you click on add, you can see there are issues coming up here. I can come back here, put add, select a category. I want to see if we are having all of these issues. Click on this and click on add contact, and then you can see it has an error. The best thing is with Lovable, you can now go ahead and read the logs and fix the error while adding a contact, right? When you say read the logs, that means that Lovable is going to read these particular errors, which gives it much more context than right now it has, and then starts fixing, right? I see the errors in the logs when adding category and everything, and then it will fix it itself or give us input on how we can fix this. This is super important and something that a lot of people don't know. Very simply, you can see a lot of errors in the console. That's where most of the web development lives. That's why you can see there are so many development tools available here. So to activate this, just press Control-Shift-I. Control-Shift-I on Chrome, and that's the same for all Chromium browsers. If you're on a different browser, just search on how to activate console. We have handled it. There was a category issue problem. Let's try this again. Click refresh. When you're doing backend work, probably click refresh a couple of times. I just like to do it kind of like a force of habit. Let's see. Add a contact. Fail to add contact again. So submit in contact data, email, and then again. You can see there is a bad error coming in, right? I'm not going to try to figure it out myself, right? You can see this is the error. Still not fixed. Read the console to get the actual error. Right, it's the same error in invalid input syntax for the type UID friends, right? So what is happening is very simply, and to understand, like, I'm just going to teach you how to read an error, right? So when you see invalid input syntax, that means something from a rules perspective on how you write. Like if you're writing English, you have specific grammatical rules to follow. In the same way, and I'm oversimplifying this, in the same way in programming, you have specific rules on how you write and build stuff. So what is happening here is, if I go to categories, you see these are the UUIDs, like, these are like kind of unique identifiers of all of this. And it's creating a lot of categories, right? It has the user ID linked to it, which I don't understand why we have a user ID linked to it, and probably something that we messed up, like, Lovable messed up by creating, but that's fine. It's not able to select the right category. So if I go ahead and try to create a contact here, right? So you can see there is an option to insert a user ID, right, which has a foreign key relation and XYZ. You can see there are multiple options. There would be somewhere here category ID, which is linked to the categories table, right? So again, just to visualize this to you, I'll just show you using this particular database, right? So come to the database. You can see this categories is getting linked to, it has a relationship with the users, and it also has a relationship with an ID to the contacts. I get why we have different categories, because we want to technically maintain that as a separate functionality. But what I will do right now, I can do something simple. So what we can do is, we can, instead of like having a separate categories table which are linked to a specific user, we can have people having common categories right now, just from an MVP perspective. So you have just 3 categories, maybe family, friends, and work, and we can just say everyone will have the same categories. Though not a great design, let's try to fix this. The name, like friends, studio, I have made 2 changes to fetch categories directly from Supabase database. Modify the form to use the real UIDs from here instead of string identifiers. Okay, so let's see. Let's try to add this also. Let's try again. AB. Select a category. This is where all the issues coming. Add a contact. Contact added successfully. Yeah, we got it, right? But obviously, like, again, it's saying contact not found, right? Again, for XYZ reason, the contact you're looking for does not exist. Let's try to refresh and see if this contact actually exists or not. Again, what I would love to do is just go to the table, click on this visualizer, click on this. You can see this small icon here on the top. Click there, and you see there is no contact. Oh, there is a contact. Perfect. Happy. There is a contact, and very simply, which has like a name and an ID linked to it. And I'm just seeing Where is the user ID? You have a user ID later, right? So that's great. Now my problem is, why is it not showing? Because obviously we haven't built that as a functionality. You can see, like, it has like this contact ID which should be able to see. I don't know why it's not able to show, right? And probably there is no error coming in also, right? So okay, no issue, but good that there's a better handling. I'm just happy that's working, but also not sure why this is not working. Okay, so guys, just have fun while you're building this. You'll get these stupid issues. Okay, perfect. Let's just see. Perfect, that's working. But when I click the contact card, it shows contact not found, even when we have the contact in the backend. We have the contact in the backend, right? Again, and I have no clue why it's showing like this. Again, I get that the details are not there. That's fine. So, and we probably need come to this details part to edit the contact and everything. But let's try for another one, right? Let's actually do all the details. I want to see how does a decent contact look like. Akshat@akshat.com. This is not a real email ID, guys. Don't expect me to reply here. And I'm just going to write like a phone number, company, task. I'm going to say category is friends. I don't know even if the notes part is working. This also does not work. We're clicking on contact card, even though the contact is looking at the console logs, and then I can see that you're successfully adding contacts. This is because contact is still using mock data. Okay, perfect. So the problem is just like the functionality is not implemented, so it's going to go ahead and find that. It was just finding it from cache data right now or something like that. It did not have the functionality. That's fine, right? Again, just like perfect, that's working. Explain the issue, right? Explain the issue to Lovable, and you'll see that, right? Again, obviously there are ton of things that you can do if you're a programmer. Just start there and start going to a cursor or something like a different application and build stuff there. But this is a pretty good place to do this. Okay, let's see. Is this working now? Yes, but I'm happy, right? The only thing is the notes part working? I am not expecting it to work, but I'm going to try, right? Okay. I know it's not going to work, right? So I'm just going to write this, mark as important, add a note. Okay, added. Let's see if I come back here, click on this. Yeah, there's no notes, right? Okay, perfect. Let's fix. We already have the tables. Good. Okay, very simply, again, I'm going to select add note, and it can understand, like, technically I want to click this and then I want to click this, right? And press enter. Very simply, I want to select this as a modal rather than the button, because then it might try to trigger from. I remember, guys, AI is like one of those geniuses which still needs to be invoked, and that's great. You can use AI to do stuff. One thing that you see missing is that we don't have the edit button for the image, right? That's something that we need to fix. We'll do that at the end, right? I have the code to make sure the data persists in the database and display real notes XYZ. I can let it do that. The idea is it's coming together. It's finally coming together. We have the category, we have friends, work, clients, mentors. I don't know if it's part of family. So if I'm filtering this, it's not showing. So filter needs to also work. We have the friends part. And then again, you see, and the best part is when Lovable is doing all of this, just keep noting things down that you won't test out. So the dashboard is still not updated. I'm going to do that at the end because I believe that's the easiest part. Once everything is implemented, this is just showing all the details from the database. It's not really has any functionality here. We can obviously have like an add note button and try to spend a bit more time on the landing page to improve the application. As soon as I go to index, because I'm logged in, it automatically brings me back to the dashboard. If I sign out, it will bring me back to the index. Let's see if I can get to the dashboard. Yes, I can still get to the dashboard. Perfect. So in the meantime, I also did again, this was all getting worked upon. I logged in again, and very simply I have a new user created just to test it out. Whenever you have time, till the time Lovable is doing its own thing, I just created another user and have a simple password, sign in, and just from there, very simply, you can just test around on how it works for other users also. So you have multiple users and you can test around with names, right? So let's have a random name. I don't want to email because it will have some kind of verification. I select category as friends, pick a date, maybe 1 to 3, and it's refreshing because the code was probably updated, right? You can see the code was updated, right? First of all, create a contact now, right? Again, and then test it, right? So action, right? Again, I'm just going to create another category which is work and add a contact. Let's see if I can add a note here which was being implemented, and test note, right, and mark is important and add a note. Perfect. Let's see, does this still work, right? And this is great. Refresh it. Again, always test with a couple of components. Don't just stick to one thing. Go back to the directory, click on this. Again, you can see the notes there less than a minute ago, and it works perfectly well. Can I edit this? Let's see if the edit thing is working. If I can go ahead and change the category to work and company to random company, save changes. It changed the work part. I don't think it's showing the person name, but let's say I've changed the name. Is it working? category is getting outdated. I don't think the name is, but yeah, the name is not. Ensure the edit contact model back into the database, right? So I mean, very simply, like, edit the contact back into the database, and then the couple of things. We have two SVGs, right? Again, so both of them have functionalities. We'll technically just remove one of them. That's like kind of like, last polishing fixes that we'll have to do. But again, it's really doing well. Contact Diver doesn't actually save changes, just like display this, and then it will start doing all of this. From a contact directory perspective, we have the filters are probably not working well. We need to fix that. But we have the contacts, we have like the details. We need to fix like the image part and go from there. Things to fix. Right, I want to have image upload for contact profiles and remove additional X buttons on the add contact and update contact. Right, again, and this is great. Just maintain a list. We'll come back here and fix that. So let's see. You will see this note coming in that the edit form is long. I would technically prefer to refactor it, but given that we are like, I don't believe like this is going to be like, we are going to add any more features right now. I'm just going to keep that. So let's see if I can just update now. Company, edit this and save changes, and it's now working. Let's test, refresh and test again. And I think it should be working pretty well. Works perfectly, like literally works super perfectly. We have this, we have all of this. Now let's fix the filters. Ensure the filter by category is working properly. It doesn't do anything. It doesn't work. Fix it quickly. I don't think that's going to be a massive fix. It's pretty simple. And we go ahead and filter the category. Then we have our contact details. We have like, I just want to check if delete. I don't think it's going to work right now. So we need to make that. And once all of this is done, we have our basic CRUD functionality ready. Then we just need to fix the dashboard, and our application is already coming together. We'll put it on the web and anyone can use it. It's coming together, right? Let me just fast forward this part so that we just like let it just fix the stuff. Now just to show you, like while I was doing this, I got an error, so I clicked on try to fix. The issue is occurring XYZ in the dashboard component. It's not only happening there. Fix the category filter contact directory. This is my new prompt, because the point is here it's saying that the error is occurring in the dashboard. Now again, that's obvious, okay, if the error is happening, but we don't even have any functionality implemented here. So go ahead, once I input this, you need to ensure that you are reading what is happening, right? Again, you should not be like, actually this was not working, everything. Just read why it was not happening, right? Understand where the issue was, and then just go and tell Lovable. It's literally like telling an engineer like the problem wasn't even there. AI is still not getting there, and I think we are probably in the last legs where we have to do all this work. I'm telling you, using Lovable like around 3 months back, that was just so difficult. Implementing everything was super difficult. Like building all the Supabase things, it took time. We find so much in 3 months. In the next 6 months, I'm pretty sure it will just be input a prompt, it automatically creates all the plan and just goes from there. Let's see, should have been fixed, right? Again, let's see, changes already applied. That's interesting, because again, or I need to have like go to edit. I have the category as work, obviously, so I should technically be able to see, right? I've selected the work category, and I still look at the implementation, right? Again, I wanted to look at, and then I can also open the console and see where it might be having an issue. So I'm just going to click on clear and see where technically are we getting an issue. First of all, like again, when I'm clicking categories, there's no issue, right? So that's good, and I can have all the inputs and everything else. Now one thing you see is like, if I add a detail note, this is a detailed note, and if I copy and paste this, I want to see how does this look, right? So okay, perfect. Then it's able to add notes, and given that I'm not expecting anyone to write a paragraph of things, again, this is pretty good. This is pretty good from a perspective. Second thing is, instead of add a note, maybe you want to have a small icon, add a note with an icon or something like that. Small tweaks that you can do while you are figuring it out. Still not working, right? It has gone and clicked contact RPI. Work filtered contacts this, right? So why are the filtered contacts 0? For that, we will love to go to database and see the contacts which are linked to that particular user. I just have like literally one contact which is like again linked to this random company, and as you can see, it should have a category ID, right? And this is the category ID work, but This is something like you just need to be a bit more understanding of how things are working on a logical basis. So if you see here, this is the category ID which starts with AE62. You don't need to go in depth. But if it's going here, filtering with that. So I have no clue why this is not working. I thought there was a category ID issue. Let's see. Again, I'm just going to come back, click on clear. Check the logs. I've told it we have a single contact in work. It should be able to filter, right? These are all the contacts and the IDs. You can have the category IDs visible here, right? You can see all contacts there. When you select the comparison is being done with string work instead of the category ID. It was comparing the category ID to the word work rather than the category ID itself. And again, these are just stupid things that Lovable will do, and that's why you need to be in control of fixing this. If you start learning how to read this stuff, it's super great. But even if you can't, you can just ask Lovable to read it for you, understand it better, and go from there. I don't want you to be scared of looking at logs. You can read this stuff. It's simple. Category clicked work, category selected work, filtering contacts, and then you just see all the contacts that are there and the filter that's working. It's saying you need to use the same category in both. If you're selecting the work category from UI, but your contact has different ID from that, they won't match. Okay, so the problem is, here's what I need to do. Fetch the categories from Supabase and link them with their category IDs that you get. For each user will have a unique ID. Create a plan to do this. Create a plan to do the following. Fetch categories from the Superbase unique to the user, display them, and filter using the category name and the ID, right? Now let it create a plan, because again what is happening is this is all mock data, right? Every time someone signs up, it creates automatically 5 categories, which is great. I think that's a great default option, automatically created. But the point is, what has happened is very simply, it is now taking just the words. It's not taking the category ID. So it's filtering by words rather than the category ID. On the backend, there's a list: family, friends, clients, mentors. It's fetching all of that back and just comparing it. So if I filter on work, it's not filtering with this ID which it should use. Just compare work wherever it is written in that contract from a category ID perspective and see that, right? So again, it's going to improve the whole part now. Again, very simply, it's going to now use a specific category ID. Right? I'm just going to switch to default and click on implement the plan and let it work, right? Because it's a super simple functionality that needs to be implemented, and I think it should be able to do that pretty well. But let's see. Again, read them, understand them, and plan it out. This is something that you need. Building front end was super fast. By this time, we were already done with the front end, most of it, and we're still figuring out a couple of these trivial issues which should have been done very quickly. But that's fine. We are literally in the end game, so let's keep at it. Perfect. So now we finally have our filters working. Again, it started working automatically without any issues, right? You can select and see different filters. You can also have the edit option available. So you can change the filter. Let's say I change the category to family. Save changes, go back to contacts, and it will be filtered in family. All our create, read, update, and delete operations are working. Now I want to test out the delete option. Obviously not working. It started spinning up. This is one thing that Lovable I don't like is it starts spinning up in middle, sometimes because of some error or just reloading automatically. That's a bug. I hope they fix it quickly. Just give it a second, get started, and come to the directory. I will be able to go ahead, select this, make the delete button usable, allow I delete the contact, and also delete the other associated parts. Why did I say specifically delete the other associated parts? Because every time I have a contact, I also have this contact associated with the note. We have the events about them. We have everything, not profiles. You have the contacts associated with events, profiles, and categories, right? So what I technically want to do is that every time I delete a contact, at least the events and the notes related to them should be deleted, right? So delete the contact and initial notes. I want to make sure that we are not deleting the categories with that, because it should not delete that. We'll just ask it once it's done. But yeah, pretty much we are done there. Now, only thing that we're going to implement is on the dashboard to make sure that all of these things are with dashboards. And second, you can see there's an events thing, right? But there is no way to add events here, right? So again, there is obviously like a birthday and something. So let's select actually birthday as 2 April and save that. I can have the birthday, I can have the last contact date or something like that, and it should not be allowed in the future technically, but then it's fine. Like in case someone wants to edit or something, I'll not take care of edge cases right now. Just think about the MVP from perspective, right? So let's see. I'm going to try and build a simple contact. I'm just going to build home as a contact. That's like such a horrible choice, and add a contact. Come back to home, delete this. Perfect, deleted, works perfectly, right? Again, delete the content, show success message, and back to this. Okay, perfect. It looks amazing. I really love this. We have finally got there. Now the only thing I want to do is work on the dashboard. Let's come to the dashboard. I'll just say align the dashboard. Work with the user data only. User should be able to see the contacts they have and the relevant upcoming events. Very simply, right now we are just defining all of this, right? I just do that, and then very simply it will go ahead, and now we just need to read operation. There's not going to be any update or delete happening from dashboard. I technically want to keep that available for the contacts directory itself. We'll have the notes and everything else. Probably what I want to make sure is that we should be able to click on the recent contact and go to the contact directory page. That is something that I would love. So we technically just need to link dashboard also to this page, and you can see that the page is being created and everything else. Perfect. We got a one-shot delivery of this. Like, this is really good. Like, it automatically updated the total contacts, the total notes, and everything else. Now, from an upcoming events perspective, I want to add that. If I go to this and I change the birthday to be on 4th April, let's say, right? And save changes and see how well it works. Come back to dashboard. Yep, the upcoming events is not coming. Show the upcoming events. Also, from the user contacts, which could be a birthday or an anniversary. We will probably give an option to add more events if required, but I also want to see one thing. Go to the events table and see here. So I don't think any event is getting added here. Right now we just have like a profile which has all the, like, not the profile, I'm sorry. In the contacts, we have the birthday and the anniversary date, but we don't want to just show that. Improve the upcoming event section to include birthdays and anniversary from the user content in addition to the regular events. Let me implement that, right? So again, the idea is that there is no option to add events. It has created a separate events table, but there is no place to add a separate event for that. What I would want, and like, again, not to make this tutorial like another 3 hours, is you will probably want to create another events page also, and that's super simple. In the same way, created a contact directory. The best thing is you can see on April 3rd there's an upcoming event and it shows up. Now it's able to see this. What I want to do is ensure on the dashboard all contact cards shown are also clickable and take you to the contact details page, right? I have an issue whenever I'm again typing, I can't talk, and that's probably because I'm not looking at when I'm typing, just the text being typed. But yeah, let's see. Again, very simply make this clickable. It has upcoming events. This should also change. This should also be allowed to count the upcoming events. Total notes, that's fine. Total contacts is fine. Let's see if it actually is working, right? So let's create another contact and then select a category, mentors, add a contact. Perfect. 2 contacts, total notes. This, let's try and add a note. Perfect. Everything is working. Brings me back here. These are all clickable again, and I can click on the birthday and everything else also. And that's pretty much it. We just have things to fix here. So we can either copy and paste this or ask it to read the things to fix plan and create a plan to fix that. So I'm going to first of all, I need to edit the X button. So if I'm clicking edit, you see there are 2 buttons. I'm just going to click here, select this particular thing, remove this button as there is already an X button, right? So technically, just I don't think it selected the SVG, and I probably need to stop that. I don't want the close button to be, but let's just see what happens. So let's remove this, go back, cancel, and come back here. Technically, two things I want to do is remove the additional buttons and then images upload for contact profiles, right? So I want to make sure we upload images because it's not looking great. It just looks like super bland. The icons are fine. I don't have an issue with the icons. From a design perspective, I'm always a bit iffy. It's probably because I'm not great at design. And then second thing is we just want to make sure that our names are everywhere. Like it's not personal CRM, it's Connectpedia. I like the name. I'm just going to keep the Connectpedia name itself, right? So if I click here and then click on very simply edit, it still has the form. I don't know. What did it remove? It did not need to remove the edit button, right? So contact detail, add a note. Okay, it removed from the add a note, right? It should be able to remove this X button now, right? I just selected it, clicked on remove, and done. Add a note, actually, you have the X button here. Why need the second one? Come back here, click on add a note. You can just click outside, and this will get removed. And then technically, I just want to remove one more button, which is in the add note. Perfect. I'm just going to fast forward through this because this is me repeating stuff, but I'll give you a quick overview. It's done. Edit. Perfect. Removed. I'm just going to select this. Remove this too, right? Like the only thing, this is where you start figuring out these monthly credits things does not really look good because you have 16 credits and you're just wasting message based credits, which I don't like a lot given that these are stupid edits. I should have been able to just click on two buttons and delete that, but it's fine. We're not going to bicker about that. Now let me quickly show you one more feature. So I'm just going to discard this, come back here, select this whole thing and click on this. This is something they created recently. I can come back here on the dashboard, click on edit, double click and edit it. I'm just typing. So you can double click an element and select Connectpedia. This is pretty good. I just want to save this and it's done. It will automatically save my changes and that's it. It automatically updated the content back in the code also. Now, one thing I need to fix is just make sure upcoming events should count all the events and showcase here. Right? And this is very close to our complete application. I want to show you a couple of things. We are going to publish this and everything else and connect a custom domain. I don't have connected custom domain, but I'll teach you how to do that in a second. Perfect. This is done. We have the upcoming events and all of the other things. Now, what I'm going to do is take it all back and check with one last thing that I need to have is like a edit image for profile. And here we want to create a quick plan to allow users to have images for their contacts and an ability to edit them. Check with Supabase requirements. Also store a single image for each contact. Right. Now again, I'm just going to switch to chat mode. Why have I added that? Because the point is storing files. Again, if I just bring it back here, storing files in Superbase, you need a file storage. You can't just store it in a database. You need something what we call as blob storage. So you need that. Again, already that is there, but it will just create a plan very quickly to understand how we can implement that. It's probably where you'll find a couple of more errors, which I will figure out and see how we can just solve. But the best thing is when you choose the chat mode, it's much better to plan a bigger feature out rather than just going ahead and iterating over it. It saves you a ton of time. So let's do that, and I'm going to pause this and fast forward through it. Perfect. It has created a plan. I'm just going to click on implement now. There are a couple of issues with this plan that it's going to have a public URL and everything else. Now, I technically don't want that, but again, given it's an MVP, we are not trying to be very, very clear on again, we're not trying to be super difficult on this. Obviously, you should not have a public URL, but this is just how you implement a storage feature with Lovable, and then you can change the security settings in Supabase. One thing you can see is your images will be stored in a bucket, right? So you have this connect images public, and then you can edit the bucket. Obviously, you can change the bucket to different values and everything, and that's something that you can do with Supabase. So you can go ahead, make this bucket not public. But then again, obviously, we'll have to tell people to not do that. Just to showcase if the feature is being built, we can change those security restrictions. It's going to change the edit contact form, right? It's already working on that. I should have an edit button here, but it's fine if it adds into the form. We can update from there. Till then, let me just bring in some images so we can just use them. Let's take this. It's pretty good image. Save image. Perfect. It did work. I just literally wrote this. It implemented this. We were on the same page. It just went and did all of these things. You can edit an image. There is a build and successful error, but you can update the images. It opens your file folder and you can edit different images there. And that's fine. This is perfect. Done this. Again, we'll just click on this. There's an error. And with this, we have our application completely live. we have our application completely done, right? So again, you have a simple CRM which has notes, which has events. There are two particular pages missing, which is the settings page where you can change your categories, which is easy to build. You can try to replicate this project and add those two pages. Also, one more page that we would technically want to add is like a place to add events. But again, either you can have like events linked to the contact, so then you will probably have like an add events button here, which is super easy to add, but we'll skip that because I understand that everyone watching, thanks a lot. I'm pretty sure you are clear on what you want to build here. This is perfect, done. We are good to go. We will now just literally do two things, right? So we have the name, we have this. We wanted to put this everywhere in like other places, but again, I can just add that, right? So again, add the nav bar. The nav bar is already at the top, right? So we don't need to change that, right? Again, I can just say, move this to the top nav bar and have a single nav bar across. So again, so we'll technically move all of those things up, and then we'll just have like a single nav bar and just gives us a cleaner look, which is something that I always prefer, right? Can we search? Yep, this is working perfectly. Again, it's obviously like simple search. It's not like something like I can just press SHAT. Oh, it's pretty good. If I just press HOM, yeah, that's pretty good. And it's doing a pretty good string matching, and that's great. I'm not expecting this to scale to a crazy number, like you are having 10,000 contacts. If you have 10,000 contacts, maintaining a personal relationship with all of them, great. I don't think that's possible, right? So we'll just keep it that. Now with this, we'll move on to closing this, and we just have literally 3 steps that we need to do, and we can quickly do that and close this whole application and put it live. As soon as this is completed, I'm going to click on this publish button, and it's going to be live for anyone across the world to utilize this. I'm also going to link this in the video, but I'm not going to keep this application live for more than 60 days from now because I have a free Superbase plan. I'm not paying for it, and I'm happy to just have that. Right, done. These changes are done, and we're just going to come back here, click on publish, and with this we have a single nav bar. You can see this works. Sign out, sign in, and we're going to click on publish and click on this. That's it. It's going to take a couple of seconds to publish, so I'm going to fast forward through this piece also because nothing crazy is happening here. We're just going to have like this domain name which is going to publish all of these items. As you can see, the application is published. This is the link here, right? Very simply, you can sign in and input your email. So I'm just going to sign in at b@b.com, put in a password and sign in. And as you can see, there is like all the contacts and the details available here, which is super cool. Given we have all of these details in a single place, is just crazy. And the app is, you can open this from any place. I will also show this to you on an incognito window. So you can see it's working. All in all, it's pretty good. But let's say you want to make some changes. So I just want to come to Wikipedia and yeah, great. I want to sign out. Click on sign in button. If I go ahead and select Connectpedia, right, and then I want to save this. First of all, it's the same thing in sign up, right? So just stop this, click on sign up. It's the same. Now, if I want to, because I made this change, I need to go ahead and click update. Right? So if I click sign in here, it will still show me the old person CRM. If you want to update it, click on this update, and then it will push all of these things out, which is super important, right? Perfect. Now we have our app. We have built a complete application from scratch and published it across. And this is all that was needed to build an application. Again, so one thing that we really forgot to add was very simply an API functionality with OpenAI, right? There is no AI functionality at all. So what I've done is just to keep like, this, we have just implemented a simple edge function, right? So I just asked it to implement a simple edge function, which will add like a button here, which can go to AI and take an input of all these nodes. So I just asked it to create a plan as we have been doing and to implement the plan. Now, in addition to that, I'll tell you how can you find an API key. So just go ahead and search OpenAI API, right? Also, Lovable also provides you an option here to just click on this OpenAI API keys page, and you'll go to API keys. Click on create new secret key, input a name, and you click on create. So I'm just going to create test1, and click on create secret key and copy and paste this. Now, once you copy and paste this, it gives you an option to add an API key, which I just already did. And we're just going to move forward after that. It's just going to implement the plan that it has already talked about, right? And then in probably a couple of seconds, we should have a button. Now, I just want to say when I'm clicking generate, you should send the last 10 notes if they exist to AI and ask it to create a summary. Right now, very simply, I just want to do that. Let it complete and complete the edge function. Now, edge functions live in your Supabase. So you can click here, come to Supabase, click on add functions, and you'll see there will be a functions added here, and also you will have like your secrets, your API key, and all of those things available here. If you want to change your API key, you can just do it from here, delete it, and update that. Let's see, it's going to complete it. It takes a couple of seconds to complete the first edge function, but that's fine, we can wait for it. Perfect, so it's finally there. Again, the edge function got a couple of errors and everything again, and that's probably because I tried to refresh it a couple of times. You can just click on generate, and now it will be able to take the summary and take information from the last two notes and the family contact associated with the random company, the last communication offered on the same date, and recent notes include detailed observations and a test note. This is really good. An update, you can have an AI app and everything else. This actually brings the whole thing together, right? Because the course would not have been complete without like having the API thing in place, right? So very simply, you have now everything in one shot right now. But again, just from that perspective, you can see like I have like, you know, all the features that we talked about available, right? So we added AI, we added like wrote an idea, created a PRD, looked for inspiration, got to a decent design, added it to GitHub, and prompted into 50 times to build the MVP, right? Again, 50 is a good short number that you can get a decent MVP done with 3 to 4 core basic features. And then adding a custom domain, just to, you know, reiterate on that, you can just simply come here and click on connect a custom domain. Add a domain and everything, you'll use a service called Entry, right? And you can connect a domain. I don't have one, but it's super easy. You can go ahead and literally written there, no developer needed. So you don't need any engineering chops to do that. You can just buy a domain from something like Namecheap and come back here and add that. The only thing that I did, which I tried to record, but the audio did not work out, but like I just asked it to update the image that is visible on social media. So update the image that appears when the site is shared on social media platforms to the one above. So when you share this as a link, like for example Connectpedia, like if I want to share this link, I don't want the default image to be there. I want it to be the application image thing, right? And technically for that, I just made, you know, took a screenshot of the homepage. That's what the image I want. You can have like a logo or something like that. Just pasted that image there and just asked it to upload it and make sure that whenever I'm linking this on social media, it's there. So if I go ahead and click on like, you know, go to Twitter, and given that there's a Lovable competition going on, that's crazy. Probably give it a second, but it should start showing up like a preview of that particular URL. And this image, when you see in the preview, that's something that I wanted to be better than like, you know, what we have, and rather than like the default one, because the default one is the default. It's not super great, it's not customized. You will probably want to do a bit more and like, you know, see from that. Let me just refresh this and see if I can pull up the image a bit quicker and you guys can see what I'm talking about. Yep, so this image, right, again, I have already asked it to update. It will take a couple of seconds to get refreshed and then it will automatically go from there. So yeah, we have our final project launched, updated, ready. You can use it right now from the description. Now again, if you're using this like after like 3-4 months, I don't think this is going to be running, but that's fine. Now, I just want to say this to you. If you are watching till here and you've seen everything that I've done, and this video has taken quite a bit of time to record, please like, share, and subscribe to this video. It really helps you out a lot, right? Another thing that I want to mention is the community part. I have just released the community last month. I've just started it. It gives you 3 things. Number 1, it gives you direct access to me. If you're part of the first 20 members, you will get access to 4 calls where you can discuss anything that you want about building stuff on AI or growing something and anything literally that you want. Second, you get access to everything about the prompts, the stuff that I've built here. Everything is available as a package that you can download and get started quickly. So you have the design prompts, the inspiration prompts, even the code base for a couple of projects that we do is available there. Number 3, all of this, very simply, we are building that community to have the best there. You can talk to other people, you can talk to other members just starting up. It's 5 members. There is a discount code in the description below. Join it today if you want to get and learn more. Check it out. I would love to see you in the next one.